The restaurant was too loud for the conversation we were having, but my sister Angela had insisted on meeting there. She sat across from me with her son Marcus, his Stanford acceptance letter displayed on the table like a trophy. "So, graduation," Angela said, scrolling through her phone. "We're thinking the country club for the party. Maybe 200 guests." Marcus barely looked up from his phone. He was 17, confident in the way kids get when they've been told they're exceptional their entire lives. "Sounds expensive," I said mildly. "It's worth it. He got into Stanford." Angela said it like he'd won the Nobel Prize. My parents arrived, sliding into the booth. My father clapped Marcus on the shoulder. "There's our Stanford man." "We need to finalize the guest list," Angela said. "I'm thinking slideshow, photo booth." Marcus set down his phone. "I don't want a huge thing, just family and my actual friends." "It's going to be huge," Angela said firmly. "Whatever. But I don't want certain people there making it weird." "What do you mean?" Angela asked. Marcus glanced at me, then looked away. "Some people would just be embarrassing." "He means me," I said quietly. The table went silent. Marcus had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable, but not enough to take it back. "I didn't say that," he muttered. "You didn't have to." Angela set down her pen. "Diane, he's just—" "No, let him say it," I interrupted. "Marcus, if you don't want me at your graduation party, just say so directly." He shifted in his seat, looking to his mother for rescue. When none came, he shrugged. "Fine, I don't want you there. You're just going to make things awkward. People are going to ask about you, and I'll have to explain that my aunt is—" He trailed off. "Is what?" I asked. "Is kind of an idiot," he finished, the words coming out in a rush. "I mean, no offense, but you never went to a good school. You work some boring job nobody understands. My friends' parents are all doctors and lawyers and tech people. What am I supposed to say about you?" My mother gasped. "Marcus, that's incredibly rude." "He's not wrong, though," Angela said, her voice careful. "Diane, you know we love you, but Marcus's point is valid. This is his moment. He's going to Stanford. His friends come from accomplished families. She gestured vaguely at me. "You're just different from us." I looked at my sister, the same woman who called me last month asking to borrow money for Marcus's graduation trip, who called 3 months before that asking if I could help with his SAT prep costs. I looked at Marcus, this boy I'd held in the hospital the day he was born, whose trust fund statement I'd reviewed just last week. "I see," I said. "So I'm not welcome." "Don't be dramatic," Angela sighed. "We're not saying you can't come to the actual graduation ceremony, just maybe skip the party. Keep things simple." "Yeah," Marcus added, emboldened by his mother's support. "Like the ceremony is whatever, but the party's for people I actually want there." I pulled out my phone and opened my email, scrolling to the message I'd received that morning from Wells Fargo Wealth Management. The subject line read, "Marcus Thompson Education Trust, Annual Review." "That's reasonable," I said smiling. "You're right, Marcus. It's your day. You should be surrounded by people you respect." He looked relieved. "Thanks for understanding." "Of course." I stood gathering my purse. "I need to get going. Work calls." "Your boring job," Marcus said, not quite under his breath. I paused. "Yes, my boring job. Enjoy your lunch. And congratulations again on Stanford." I left them arguing over DJs versus bands. I sat in my car, looking at my phone. The trust fund had been my father's idea when Marcus was born. Everyone agreed enthusiastically to contribute, then they all forgot, assuming someone else would handle it. I'd handled it. For 18 years, I deposited money, $500 a month initially, more as my career advanced. The account now held $372,000, enough for 4 years at Stanford, with a cushion for expenses. I was the trustee, the only person authorized to release funds. Angela didn't even know the details. She assumed the trust was some general family fund, accessible to Marcus at 18. She assumed wrong. Monday morning, my phone remained silent until 10, then Angela called. "What did you do?" Her voice was sharp with panic. "Good morning, Angela. I'm well, thanks for asking." "Don't. I just got a call from Stanford's financial aid office. They said there's an issue with Marcus's funding. Something about a guarantor signature? They said his enrollment is conditional pending verification of payment capability." That sounds serious. "Diane, what is happening?" The woman said she's been trying to reach the trustee of Marcus's education fund. She said the trustee's contact information lists you. Why would it list you? I leaned back in my office chair, looking out at the city's skyline. Because I'm the trustee. What does that mean? It means I control the trust fund. I'm the only person authorized to release money from it. Silence. Then, that can't be right. That's a family fund. It's a fund I've contributed to for 18 years. $372,000. That's enough to cover Marcus's 4 years at Stanford. You've contributed. Angela's voice cracked. $300,000? How is that even possible? Consistent deposits over 18 years. Compound interest. Basic financial planning. But you can't, you work some administrative job. You don't have that kind of money. I'm the chief financial officer of a mid-sized tech company, Angela. I make $400,000 a year. I've made good money for a long time. Chief financial? What? You told us you did accounting. I do. At the executive level. I have an MBA from Wharton and a CPA license. My boring job involves managing a $100 million budget. Another long silence. Why didn't you tell us? I did. Repeatedly. You all stopped listening years ago. It was easier to think of me as the underachiever, the one who didn't quite measure up to the family's standards. It made you feel better about yourselves. We never. Angela, your son called me an idiot on Saturday. You agreed with him. You said I wasn't accomplished enough to be at his party. Did you think I'd just accept that? You didn't mean it? He's 17, Diane. Teenagers say stupid things. And Stanford needs a signature from the trust guarantor by Friday, or Marcus's acceptance will be rescinded. They'll offer his spot to someone on the wait list. You can't be serious. You're going to punish him for being rude? That's insane. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm making a decision about my own money. Money I earned, saved, and invested. Money that nobody in this family ever acknowledged or appreciated. We didn't know. How were we supposed to appreciate something we didn't know about? You knew enough. You knew I helped with SAT prep costs. You knew I paid for his summer programs. You knew I sent checks for his expenses. You just never bothered to think about where the money was coming from or why I might be doing it. Because you're family. Family helps each other. Yes, Angela. Family helps each other. Family also respects each other. Family doesn't call each other idiots or ban them from celebrations. I could hear her breathing, sharp and fast. What do you want? You want him to apologize? Fine. I'll make him apologize. I'll make him grovel if that's what it takes. I don't want forced apologies. I want Marcus to go to a school where he learns that intelligence comes in many forms, that respect isn't conditional on prestige, and that the people who quietly support you deserve more than casual cruelty. So you're saying no? You're actually going to let him lose Stanford? I'm saying I'm not signing anything this week. Stanford's deadline is Friday. Marcus can make his own choices about what happens next. There is no choice. We can't afford Stanford without that money. We don't have $70,000 a year. I'm a teacher, Diane. Marcus's father hasn't paid child support in 5 years. This is it. This is his shot. Then he should have thought of that before he decided I was too much of an embarrassment to attend his party. He's a kid. He's old enough to get into Stanford. He's old enough to face consequences for his words. You're his mother. You should have taught him better. Instead, you reinforced his cruelty. You agreed that I wasn't good enough for his celebration. You validated everything he said. Angela was crying now. Please, Diane, please don't do this. I'm sorry. We're both sorry. You can come to the party. You can bring whoever you want. You can give a speech. I don't care. Just don't take this away from him. It was never his to begin with. It was mine. My money, my decision, my trust fund that I built over 18 years while you all dismissed me as the family failure. You're not a failure. We never said. You said it on Saturday. You said it every time you introduced me as just an accountant while bragging about your teaching career. You said it every time you forgot to ask about my work, my life, my accomplishments. You said it in 1,000 small ways over 2 decades. What do you want from us? Nothing. That's the point. I don't want anything anymore. I'm done funding people who think I'm an idiot. I'm done being the family ATM while being treated like the family disappointment. But Marcus will figure it out. He can take out loans. He can attend a state school. He can defer for a year and reapply with proper financial planning. Those are all viable options. They're not Stanford. No, they're not. Neither is respecting the aunt who funded your education, but here we are. I hung up before she could respond. My phone rang continuously for the rest of the day. Angela, my mother, my father, even Marcus himself, leaving increasingly desperate voicemails. I listened to none of them. Wednesday afternoon, Marcus appeared at my office. My assistant sent him in. He entered, and his eyes went wide, taking in the view, the mahogany desk, the wall of degrees and awards. He stood awkwardly, suddenly looking very young. "Nice office," he said quietly. "Thank you. Please sit." He sank into the chair. "Mom said you're a CFO, and you went to Wharton." "That's correct." "I didn't know any of that." "I know. I was a jerk on Saturday." "Yes, you were." "Mom says you're not going to sign the papers. She says I'm going to lose Stanford." "That's a possibility." His jaw tightened. "So this is, what, revenge? You're going to ruin my life because I hurt your feelings? Is that what you think is happening? Isn't it?" I leaned back in my chair. "Marcus, let me ask you something. Do you know what a chief financial officer does?" He shrugged. "Money stuff. I make decisions about where resources should be allocated to maximize value and minimize risk. I decide which investments are worth making and which ones aren't. It's my job to recognize when we're putting money into something that won't give us an adequate return." "I'm not an investment." "No, you're not. You're my nephew. But the principle applies. For 18 years, I invested in your future. Time, money, effort. I did it because I love you and because I wanted you to have opportunities. But on Saturday, you made it clear that you don't value that investment. You called me an idiot. You said I was an embarrassment. Your mother agreed. I didn't mean." "Yes, you did. You meant exactly what you said. You looked at me, someone who has quietly supported you your entire life, and decided I wasn't good enough to be seen with. That I wasn't accomplished enough, smart enough, or prestigious enough for your celebration." His face flushed. "I was being stupid. You were being honest. That's what you really think of me, and that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but I'm also entitled to make decisions about my money based on that opinion." "So you're really not going to sign?" "I'm really not going to sign this week. Stanford's deadline is Friday. After that, your spot goes to someone else." "What if I apologize? Really apologize, not just because Mom is making me?" "Apologizing doesn't undo 18 years of being dismissed and undervalued by my own family. It doesn't change the fact that when you were asked to choose between respecting me and impressing your friends, you chose your friends." Tears welled in his eyes. "I worked so hard to get into Stanford." "I know, and I worked hard to fund it. We both had something at stake here. The difference is, you threw away my contribution without a second thought. Now you're facing the consequences." "That's not fair." "No, it isn't. None of this is fair, but it's reality. Actions have consequences. Words have weight. And sometimes the people you take for granted stop granting you things." He stood abruptly. "Everyone was right. You are mean." "I'm not mean, Marcus. I'm done." "There's a difference." He left without another word, and I returned to my work. The trust fund documents sat in my drawer, unsigned. Friday came and went. Stanford called my office twice. I let both calls go to voicemail. By Monday, Marcus's spot had been offered to another student. The acceptance letter that had sat so proudly on the restaurant table was now just an expensive piece of paper with no power behind it. Angela stopped calling after the first week. My parents sent a few guilt-laden emails that I deleted without reading. Marcus posted on social media about his plans to attend UC Berkeley in the fall, making it sound like that had always been his first choice. I never did attend his graduation party, but I did send a card with a check for $500 and a note that said simply, "Congratulations on your graduation. May you learn the difference between intelligence and prestige, between accomplishment and acknowledgement. Love, your idiot aunt." The trust fund remains active, still in my name, still under my control. $372,000 sitting in an account, waiting for someone who might actually appreciate it. Maybe someday Marcus will. Maybe he'll call me in 10 years, having learned something about humility and respect. Maybe he won't. Either way, I'm no longer waiting for my family to see my worth. I'd already know it. And that knowledge is worth more than any Stanford acceptance letter ever could be.